Akira Toriyama is directly responsible for anime's massive worldwide success, and he's pretty much inspired just about every shonen anime and manga you can think of in the modern day. Hell, even outside of anime, Akira Toriyama's inspired tons of stories and fiction in general. The guy truly changed the world, certainly my life, and I'll always have a special place in my heart for the Dragon Ball franchise in particular. In fact, I'd even go as far as to say that I probably like Dragon Ball more than at least 85% of the Dragon Ball fans who might have clicked this video. But with that being said, it's not disrespectful to dislike Toriyama's final gift to the world, Dragon Ball Daima, and if you give me an undisclosed amount of time, I'll tell you why, with spoilers. I'm sure this video is gonna get automatic dislikes and upper deckers in the comments and all that, but let me be clear, I do not hate Dragon Ball Daima. In fact, I didn't even dislike it. I may have already used this joke in the past, but my thoughts on the series were worded absolutely perfectly by Dennis Reynolds, so I'm gonna go ahead and recycle it here.
It was pretty good. It was all right. It wasn't great, but it was fine, and I knew that it was gonna be fine.
See, when Daima was first revealed, pretty much all of us were skeptical, but I think because Toriyama was vouching for it so hard, stating it was the most hands-on he'd been since the original Dragon Ball manga ended back in 1995, we all decided to open our minds up a bit and give it a chance. And then unfortunately, as we all know, he passed away in 2024 pretty much out of nowhere, and I don't normally get sad at celebrity deaths or anything like that, but this one really stopped me dead in my tracks that night. It probably hit me a lot harder than it normally would have, seeing as how I was rewatching Dragon Ball Z for the first time in like forever when I found out. Then it got me thinking about it for a little while, just how much this guy really did change my life with his action stories and dirty jokes. I mean, Dragon Ball got me into anime, and anime got me interested in Japan, so my Japanese tutor's making money off of me ultimately because of what Akira Toriyama did like 3 decades ago. From the other side of the world, no less. So trust me when I say that I wanted to love Daima. I went into it with my mind wide open, and right off the bat, I did love it. Not gonna do a straight up review where I go into every aspect of every story element from start to finish in order or anything like that, but I do want to go over my thoughts about key things, but I am gonna skip around a little bit and just get all this off my chest. I'm not gonna walk through the events from each episode in order, I'm just gonna kind of ramble. Concentrated rambling, but still rambling. Not a straight up review, so don't get mad when I don't talk about certain characters. But right off the bat, Daima started off introducing an assload of new lore, all of which I think is great too. Like, Deborah was originally introduced to Dragon Ball Z just because the story needed a villain who could at least stand up to the boys for a little bit since they beat a guy who was significantly stronger than Frieza, who, as we all know, nobody in the universe could even come close to touching. But logically, it wouldn't make any sense for such a strong fighter to just kind of come out of nowhere. So where did he come from? Well, the Demon Realm, of course. Another dimension within the universe, which has loads of potential for stories, but for 30 years, this was just kind of the end of it. I mean, we see Deborah, who's the ruler of this entire dimension, and then he just kind of disappears, and that's the last we ever heard of it. And all this time, I've always thought this was such missed potential to never elaborate on the Demon Realm, so I'm glad they finally did here. And not only that, but I think this world's pretty interesting, in fact. I love all the lore with the Kais, aka Glins, the explanation for why it wasn't so easy to travel back and forth, a little more backstory in Cybermen, how Majin Buu was created, and especially the backstory on the Namekians. It was always kind of weird to me that Piccolo was called a demon in Dragon Ball, and then later on they're just like, oh no, he's an alien. What do you know? We just kind of thought it was cool to call him a demon, I don't know. Turns out he's both, and I like that. And I also love seeing the consequences in the demon world after Deborah died, which is always something I kind of wondered about. Not only was all this new lore cool, but I thought there were some pretty funny moments when everyone turned into kids, although it was a really big letdown that we didn't get to see Kid Gohan one more time. I mean, seriously, it was right there. You couldn't have shown him for like 1 second. Overall, though, I thought Daima was off to a great start in the beginning. I'd even go as far as to say that I thought I was gonna love it. But then the first issue of Daima came up with the reason of why everybody was turned into kids. See, when Deborah died, his replacement Goma became the Demon King by default, except he wasn't really all that strong, and then after seeing the Earthlings beat the Demon Realm's legendary Majin Buu, he figured it was only a matter of time before they came into the Demon Realm and he was screwed. The Demon Realm does have 3 Dragon Balls, but they're guarded by Tamagamis, who are all so strong that even Deborah never dared challenge them, so that wasn't an option for Goma. But then Goma finds out that the Earth also has Dragon Balls, except these Dragon Balls can kinda just sorta be used whenever by whoever. So then he decides to use them to wish everybody who beat Majin Buu to turn into kids so they wouldn't be a threat to him anymore should they ever visit the Demon Realm. So then he comes to Earth, makes his wish, and then he's about to use his second wish to get the third eye, which is something that makes him really powerful. The dragon tells him that only regulars get 3 wishes, which of course is incredibly stupid, but honestly, I love it when Toriyama does stuff like this. Like, I've got a lot of issues with Daima when it comes to continuity and plot holes, but I just love it when Toriyama will flat out admit, I don't know, I can't think of a way around this, let's just have fun, who cares? Yeah, the only regulars get 3 wishes, moving on. To me, this is significantly better than having bad explanations that don't make sense or having no explanations at all. After everybody turned into kids, though, Goma kidnaps Dende to prevent the gang from wishing themselves back into adults just for some extra insurance. Then a guy named Glorio shows up and's like, get in, losers, we're gonna stop Goma, and off to the demon realm they go. As far as storyline reasons are concerned, them turning into kids does make sense. The Dragon Balls can't outright destroy people who are stronger than them, but the dragon can grant a wish like making people younger. Much younger, even. Great, so now Goku's strength reverted back to how strong he was in Dragon Ball, right? Well, no. So is he as strong as he was when he was an adult? Well, that all depends on what's going on with the story at any given point, and this is my biggest issue with the entire series. Like, I get that with characters this ridiculously strong going to a world where the old leader wasn't even a challenge, you have to nerf them in some way, otherwise it's gonna be really hard to have any suspense or doubt whatsoever. Not that there was any doubt given that this is a prequel, but still, the heroes need a challenge. I mean, the alternative would have been that, like, some super powerful fighters just pop up out of nowhere without any explanation. I mean, nobody wants that, right? Well, alright then, the characters turning into kids not only nerfs them and gives them a challenge, but it also brings the series back to its roots. They even brought the power pole back just for fun. Great! However, even though I think Kid Goku's an all-time classic character in all of fiction, it just kind of feels weird to see adult Goku in a child's body. I don't know, it really just isn't the same thing to me. Like, even as an adult, Goku was still clearly the grown-up version of that kid from Dragon Ball, retaining a lot of the innocence and carefree attitude, sure, but he had still matured at least to some extent. And to be fair, Goku in Daima still does act like his adult self just in his child body, but it just doesn't have the same charm as when actual Kid Goku was a naive and curious boy who grew up secluded from the rest of the world. Like, sure, Goku was curious to see the demon world, but, I don't know, just wasn't as fun or charming as OG Dragon Ball, but he was a lot more fun to watch here than in GT, I'll give him that. But honestly, none of this is really the issue I have with the characters being turned into kids, though. The main problem I have is not the storyline reason with why they turned into kids, but rather the real-world problem as to why they were turned into kids. Like, seriously, why are they kids? Nostalgia for Goku? Okay. Because it's cute to see Vegeta and Piccolo as kids? Sure, why not? But the entire purpose of nerfing them only applies whenever it's convenient, and I friggin' hate that. First, this problem started when it was revealed that the kids had trouble flying, because their bodies are slightly smaller, I guess? I mean, Goten mastered flying from scratch in like a minute, so you'd think it wouldn't even be worth mentioning, but you know what? I didn't really care. All this told me was that Toriyama wanted to tell a story where the heroes couldn't just fly directly to their destination in an instant, just like OG Dragon Ball, and that the focus was gonna be more on the adventure rather than overcoming some strong opponent. No problem. In fact, I kinda like that. Then by the time they could even go to the Demon Realm, they already remastered flying anyway. I mean, it's kinda pointless to mention that they even had trouble flying in the first place, but whatever. Then Goku finally arrives in the Demon Realm where, uh-oh, the atmosphere has weird magic or whatever bullshit in the air that makes it harder to fly. So the heroes can fly for a little bit if they, or really the story needs them to, but it's still necessary to travel with aircraft so we can get the journey aspect of the story too. I know it sounds like I'm nitpicking here, but these inconsistencies don't stop with flight. Now, whenever there's a super strong fighter who appears, like the Tamagami, Goku and Vegeta are just itching to fight at full power. They can even turn Super Saiyan 3, which is honestly really satisfying to see that Vegeta could finally do, even though it really is kind of pointless long term. I still always just wanted to see it, and I'm glad we did. But anyway, Goku and Vegeta both easily beat Tamagami, who, Deborah, the guy who ruled this entire demon realm, never even considered challenging himself. So much for nerfing the characters, I guess, but then, uh-oh, here's a fish! Ah! If only we weren't trapped in these children's bodies! And I know some of you are probably thinking, but it was a big fish! Like, Frieza pretty much ruled the entire universe, destroying entire planets with his finger without even breaking a sweat in his first form, and then him and his more powerful father were instantly decimated by a regular Super Saiyan. Then we got Cell, who was significantly stronger than Frieza, and then we got Deborah, who was said to be just as strong as Cell. Deborah wouldn't dare touch the Tamagamis, and Goku and Vegeta easily beat them. Goku even barely turned into a regular Super Saiyan to do it. He pretty much just did it just because. He might not have even had to do that. But uh-oh, a big fish? Vegeta, we can't fight a big fish in these child bodies. Like, yes, you friggin' can. This is stupid. Why didn't anyone in the Demon Realm just throw these fish at the Tamagamis and take the Dragon Balls? But as stupid as this is, it's not as stupid as when Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo faced off against common grunts with common pistols. These common pistols I'm talking about shoot special magic bullets or whatever, so I guess our heroes don't stand a chance against this. I mean, they easily beat fighters that Deborah never even dared to attempt to face, but apparently the heroes have to run away scared out of fear of these common henchmen. Piccolo even thought about sacrificing limbs to get an advantage against them, and Vegeta desperately begged Goku for what's basically the Demon World equivalent to a Senzu Bean after they beat him. That's right, the great Vegeta who beat a Tamagami with relative ease, who, again, the King Deborah never even dared to challenge himself, was beaten. Yes, a frightened Vegeta was utterly defeated by common henchmen with common pistols because he's so weak in his child body that it's not fair. But then other times he's literally stronger than ever? What the hell is going on here? These bullets are so devastating, then why didn't these common henchmen, like 3 of them, just shoot the Tamagamis and take the Dragon Balls? They wouldn't need to pass a test afterwards, they could just pry the Dragon Balls from their cold dead bodies. Why didn't they use these on Deborah? Why was everybody so afraid of Boo when they could just have these common grunts shoot him with these random little pistols? It's all just friggin' dumb. But the common grunts weren't fighting the gang while they were at full strength. The gang never even transformed. Well, that's the other issue. They're having so much trouble, why didn't they transform? I mean, they did after they were all already rescued, but why did they wait so long? I'm honestly ashamed to admit this as a full-grown man, but I legitimately had trouble sleeping because I was so irked after seeing this episode. I'd even go as far as to say that this might be the stupidest thing I've ever seen in Dragon Ball history. This is literally GT bad. Honestly, name me one moment from GT that was worse than this. Well, 2 moments, fine. I know some people try to defend this episode, but that's the entire point of this video. You don't have to defend everything about Daima. Like, look, we all love Akira Toriyama, and we don't want to be rude about his final work, but you're not disrespecting his entire legacy if you're just being honest. I mean, other than the backstory with a third eye, there wasn't really any point to this episode anyway. And given that the war against these grunts was entirely pointless, the only possible explanation I could come up with is that this was just blatant filler that was shoehorned in at the last minute to try to fly the episode count up to 20. I mean, the very next episode showed Vegeta facing the leaders of these grunts and having no trouble whatsoever, like he should. I mean, aside from the little bit of exposition on the third eye, you could completely skip the Battle of the Grunts episode and you wouldn't even notice. I mean, it had to be filler, there's no other way around it. And then at last there's the battle with Goma, where he finally gets the third eye, which basically makes him way stronger and gives him Wolverine healing powers. As it turns out, the third eye was on the gang's chauffeur, Haibisu, this whole time, who traded it with one of the villain's henchmen for a hat. Again, another stupid explanation for something that I just can't help but love. What I don't love, though, are stupid explanations that are just plain lazy and not funny, i.e. Piccolo forgetting how to speak Namekian as a plot device to explain why the old Namekian Neva had to tag along and help make a wish. And look, I know people in real life forget their native language if they don't use them for a long time, but friggin' Popo remembered Namekian, and Piccolo's fused with Nail, and Kami, who taught Popo Namekian in the first place, so yeah, this was dumb. Not insultingly dumb like a frightened Vegeta being utterly defeated by common grunts, but I'd prefer that they just said, sure, tag along, why not? I mean, it didn't have to be this lazy. Once Goma finally transforms with the third eye, though, he beats everybody's asses, including a Super Saiyan 3 Child Goku, but Vegeta didn't transform for whatever reason. Then out of nowhere, Child Goku turns into Super Saiyan 4 with the help of Neva, but then it's later revealed that he could do it all along? I don't know, but now Super Saiyan 4 is finally canon. A lot of people love it, some people hate it, but personally, I fall into the camp of people who friggin' hates this. Like, Broly being made canon in Super was kinda cool, because Broly was, well, cool. Wasn't exactly clamoring for that, but I didn't really mind it at all, and I totally get the appeal to the Broly character. Super Saiyan 4 from Dragon Ball GT, on the other hand, though, to me, was always kind of, well...
Dum 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 dum.
I don't know why people are nostalgic for GT and this transformation all of a sudden, but they are. Both were made by Toei for money, and like, really? He transforms and pants magically form? I know fusion does the same thing, but the alternative was nudity, so fine. You can make clothes when he fused, I can accept that. But pants and fur that resembles clothing for a transformation? Not to mention his tail grows back, but then disappears again once the transformation's over. And not only that, but we already know Goku's gonna reach higher forms in Super anyway, so what good is this form after this arc anyway? Sell some figures, I guess? I don't know. Then again, I was still happy when Vegeta turned Super Saiyan 3, or Ultra Vegeta 1 as he put it, even though it was pretty much just as pointless. Then there's the famous continuity issue with Goku telling Beerus that Super Saiyan 3 was his final form, but honestly, that doesn't really bother me that much. I mean, it is stupid, don't get me wrong, but I don't really care. The story's still the same in Super, just pretend Goku turned Super Saiyan 4 and still got beat up. Nothing really changes, but again, it is still silly and the form's dumb anyway. But honestly though, just because I personally don't like Super Saiyan 4's design, I can't really hold it against the story, it's just a personal preference. If you like Super Saiyan 4, knock yourself out. My real issue with this though is that if you're gonna do it, then at least make it mean something. Like, oh wow, child Goku Super Saiyan 4, and then Goma just beats his ass anyway. Not only did he beat Super Saiyan 4 Goku's ass, but he also beat everyone else's asses too, including Majin Buu and Do, who were basically Cybermen made with Majin Buu's remains from when Vegeta blew himself to pieces and tried to kill him when Supreme Kai's sister scavenged some of the slop up. Ku's really strong, all things considered, in the Dragon Ball world, but compared to all the others in this particular story, he's nothing really all that special, even though he's really cocky. And Do pretty much acts like Buu. I'm guessing not as strong, but he still beat one of the Tamagami that Goku and Vegeta didn't face, so he's definitely stronger than Dabura at the very least. As soon as everyone's down for the count, though, Glorio triple crosses the Supreme Kai's sister and wishes everybody to become adults again. He was originally using the fighters to get the Dragon Balls in the first place for the Supreme Kai's sister, but then he had a change of heart, I guess. I don't know. The key here, though, is that apparently the heroes are strong again, but oh no! There's still damage from all Goma's attacks from when they were still children. Ah, geez, if only there was some way to instantly heal the fighters, you know, like some sort of a character who has the power to heal them. Dende's standing right there, you dinguses. Like, seriously, why is nobody considering this? I mean, honestly, there's only two answers. One is that the story's blatantly and lazily ignoring the fact that Dende could heal everybody because it's more interesting if the heroes are at a disadvantage, or two, Toriyama and or everybody involved straight up forgot. I lean towards the former, but honestly, I don't know which is worse. Then once Goma's facing the adult gang, he beats Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta because he automatically heals, again, like Wolverine like I mentioned earlier, and then the Supreme Kai's sister tells him that you need to hit the back of Goma's head 3 times in a row in order to knock the third eye out that's giving him all this power. And oh yeah, Goma's also wearing the exact same outfit Jiren and his gang wore at the end of Dragon Ball Super. I just hope this wasn't just a coincidence and it'll actually have some kind of a connection or payoff later on, because my god would that be lazy. For now, I'll give the benefit of the doubt though. Anyway, then Vegeta's about to die, because of course he'd rather die than give up, but when Bulma tells him that she'll never take a bath with him again, he immediately withdraws from battle, which kinda kills Vegeta's character a little bit, but again, I don't mind stupid explanations if they're so blatantly stupid that they're actually hilarious. I'll complain about a lot of things when it comes to Dragon Ball, but this is something I'll never complain about when it comes to Toriyama, because it's just kind of his brand of humor, and I love it. Because as much as we all love Dragon Ball, it's important not to take this shit too seriously, because at the end of the day, Toriyama's goal was always just to create a fun time. With the new information on how to remove the third eye, though, Goku decides to fight Goma and give Piccolo a chance to hit the back of his head 3 times and knock the eye out and end all this madness once and for all. I don't know why Goku can't just zip behind Goma and do this himself, but whatever, Piccolo needs something to do in the story, so frig it. Then Goku starts showing his transformations off one by one like he did when he was fighting Majin Buu, but then Goku says there's one more bonus, and then he turns back into Super Saiyan 4 for the second time, and Goma's like, what? I had no idea you could do this, who could have seen this coming? Like, dude, you just saw this like 5 minutes ago and you won, you geek. Seriously, this makes no sense, and if you think about it, there's only one explanation. And that's that the fight against Goma when everyone was still a kid got dragged out and fluffed up just to get that magical number up to 20 for the episode count, and I bet this wasn't Akira Toriyama's original intention either. I hate to even say this, but the only thing that makes sense is that after Toriyama's passing, Toei just went into business for themselves and tampered with Toriyama's final work. I mean, seriously, think about it. Goku's transformation as a kid was because Nevo, like, gave him some magical powers or something, right? I mean, unearned power-ups aren't new to the Dragon Ball world, so that's whatever, I guess. But then at the very end of the series, Vegeta's mad about Goku surpassing him yet again, and then Goku just flat out tells him that he got this form when he was training after seeing how strong Buu was. I'm guessing that the original idea was that Goku couldn't attain this form unless he was in his adult body, which is why we never saw it till the very end. Or, you know, it is possible that the plan was always for him to show this new transformation off for the first time as a kid, only to get his ass whooped right away and then take all the shine away. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you think about it why Goma would act so surprised to see this form 5 minutes after he already saw and beat it. Yeah, I guess that's possible too, but I lean towards Toei tampering with Toriyama's final work. And I also blame Toei for the episode where a frightened Vegeta was utterly and fairly defeated by common grunts. Anyway, Goku stuns Goma in a really awesomely animated sequence, but Piccolo only hit Goma twice, meaning that the third eye didn't fall out and he still had his Wolverine powers. He didn't do the rapid fire hits for whatever reason, so he just couldn't get the job done because Toei hates Piccolo. Nah, I'm just kidding. I honestly prefer the fact that Ku of all people lands the final blows at Goma knocking the third eye out, even though it does mean that our heroes ultimately didn't get the job done. But honestly, at least Majin Ku winning and becoming the Demon King's funny, which, again, I'll never complain about. And to be blunt, Ku winning and becoming a surprisingly good leader was actually a pretty good ending to me. In fact, it honestly saved the series for me a little bit, because I was ready to ride Dragon Ball Daima's ass right before the end. It was a fun ending to a show that started off solid and then had a few roadblocks before finally ending things off on a positive note. Overall, Dragon Ball Daima is definitely a fun watch as a longtime Dragon Ball fan, but in no universe is this what I consider to be a great anime. And you know what? It's okay to say that. Like I said, I really believe that Toei tampered with a few things here and there, even though Toriyama apparently had laid the whole story out before his passing. Maybe he didn't quite finish it all up 100% and Toei filled in the blanks, or maybe Toei just had a few flaws in his game and had a few ridiculous choices in the story. At the end of the day, I'm a fair, full-grown man, and I can't act like it's impossible that Toriyama made some mistakes, but regardless though, I don't think you need to pretend like you love everything about Daima just because it was Toriyama's final work. I know a lot of people out there genuinely do love everything, and if you think this is a masterpiece, then more power to you. It's certainly astronomically better than GT in every way imaginable, but it's still not as good as regular Dragon Ball in my opinion. Feels like the idea was to combine GT with OG Dragon Ball, but like, I'd definitely rather just watch regular Dragon Ball. In fact, I hope they reanimate OG Dragon Ball like they did with Ranma, which I'm sure some people would hate, but like, we still have regular Dragon Ball, so if you don't want a remake, then just don't watch it and everybody wins. And yes, it really is that simple. As far as Daima's concerned though, I would definitely recommend it to people who like Dragon Ball. It adds a lot of interesting lore to the world, the humor's on point for the most part, the animation's great, and the new characters are mostly pretty cool, and it does get more right than it gets wrong. Just don't expect it to blow you away, and I think you'll have a pretty good time. And if you don't like it, then don't be afraid to tell everybody, because it's not against the law. But anyway, that's all for today. If you got pissed off watching this video, then you might want to check out this other video I made comparing Dragon Ball to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure to get even more pissed. But if you'll excuse me though, I gotta go walk my uncle. Later!